Hello students and welcome to SmartKidz tutorials. In this video, we will be covering Goa Board's SSC Science Prelims paper, which is MCQ type, came for the term 1 and it came in October 2022. Let's begin. We'll quickly go through a few instructions. This is Goa Headmasters Association first term preparatory examination which came in October 2022. It was for 40 marks and the timing given was 1.5 hours and consisted of 4 pages. So always look at the number of pages that are mentioned over here and whether all 4 pages are printed as well. Instructions: this booklet is your question paper having 40 questions. Every question has 4 choices for its answers A, B, C, D. Only one of them is correct. Each correct answer will carry 1 mark. There will be no negative marking for the wrong answer. So quickly go through this once again. So your question paper has got 4 pages and it consists of 40 questions. So this is what you need to check whether you have 40 questions or not. And every question will have 4 choices, but only one of them is correct. So you need to choose only one. Each correct answer will carry 1 mark. So for a correct answer, you get 1 mark. There will be no negative marking for the wrong answer. Now this is very important. There will be no negative marking for the wrong answer, which means that if you answer all of them without and you are in doubt whether you will get it correct or not, you don't have to worry about it. Even if you don't know the answer, just tick one of them. Chances are that you may get it right. So there's always a 25% chance that you will get it right if you have no clue about the answer. But there's no harm in choosing one because even if it is wrong, there are no negative marks. Okay, you won't get any marks. That's all. So worth it. You don't have to think of an answer. I mean, you don't have to solve or get to an answer or write an answer. You just have to tick one of them which is in front of you. So attempt all of them. That is what I mean. Every question has 4 choices for its A, B, C. Only one of them is correct. Select the one that you consider to be the most appropriate answer from among the 4 choices. Let's begin. The first question is, the gas which is collected at cathode during electrolysis of acidified water is, the answer is hydrogen. What is acidified water? Now, where some sort of acid is added to water, okay, and the reaction at a cathode is something like this, okay, and the reaction at anode is something of this sort. Now, during electrolysis, the acidified water, hydrogen is collected at the cathode and oxygen is collected at the anode. Second, this is a reaction given and we are asked to name the type of reaction. So we have one reactor which is breaking down into 3 products. So when one reactant breaks down into 2 or more products, that type of a chemical reaction is called as a decomposition reaction. Next, in the balanced chemical reaction, and this is something you have to balance, okay, balance as in you have to find the number of atoms over here, the numbers over here which is given as X, Y and Z. So in other words, you have to balance it, which is the potassium chlorate which is breaking down to give you potassium chloride and oxygen. So we need, wherever there's X, Y and Z, those values have to be mentioned. And let's look at the answer. That's 2 which will come here, 2 will come here and 3 will come over here. So when potassium chlorate is heated in the presence of manganese dioxide, which is a catalyst, which is not mentioned over here, It decomposes to form potassium chloride and oxygen gas. So the balanced equation is this, and this is the 2, 2 and 3 that we are referring to over here. Fourth question, fatty foods become rancid due to the process of dash. Answer is oxidation. Next question, fifth question, sodium oxide when dissolved in water, the solution likely to have the pH dash. Answer is 11. When sodium oxide dissolves in water, it gives us sodium hydroxide. We know sodium hydroxide is a very strong base. So these other values that are mentioned over here, 5, 2, these fall in the acidic range, and 7, as you know, is neutral. So even if you do not know exactly what will be the pH, if you know that when sodium oxide is dissolved in water, it gives you sodium hydroxide, the obvious choice should be 11. Next question. Rita was doing an activity. She observes that when crystals of copper sulfate are strongly heated, the color of copper sulfate changes from blue to white. Why does it happen? Let's look at the answer. Due to loss of water molecules from copper sulfate. So when copper sulfate crystals are blue in color because of the water of crystallization. So some water molecules attached to it. When you heat it, this water molecules are lost, and that is why the blue color is also lost, as in transition from blue to white in that case. Okay, so hydrated copper sulfate is blue colored. Hydrated means which has got water molecules attached. On heating, blue colored copper sulfate crystals become white. Heating turns crystals of copper sulfate, it is in this form, okay, with 5H2O attached. So this is a water molecule, 5 molecules of water, into an anhydrous. Anhydrous means devoid or without the water molecule. And without a water molecule, the copper sulfate crystals are colorless or white, you mean. 7th question. Which of the following solutions will conduct electricity? Answer is acidified water. One thing you need to know is to conduct electricity, you need electrons. Okay, so when a particular element gives out electrons, the chances of it conducting electricity increases. Okay, so distilled water do not contain ions; it needs free ions. Okay, and the others have are more of bases. Here you go. Acidified contains presence of free ions that can move through the medium, making the acidified water a good conductor of electricity. You need free ions. That is what you need to know. So you may get a similar question even in the final exam or in any of your exams where you may not have acidified water but something else. What you need to look out is in that choice which one would actually give you free ions. The one which would give free ions, that is the one which would be able to conduct electricity. Question 8. Acid present in oranges, citric acid. The compound which is used in glass, soap and paper industry is washing soda. Which of the following is not an example of biomass energy source? To answer this question, you need to know what is biomass energy. We'll look at the answer first, then we'll look at what is a biomass energy, or what is biomass for that. Answer is nuclear. So nuclear energy is not an example of biomass energy. We'll look at what is biomass. So biomass energy is energy generated or produced by living or once living organism. If you look at wood, gobar gas and coal, wood comes from tree, living. Gobar gas is a byproduct of the cow dung, basically, which comes from animals, okay, cattle, and we have coal which comes naturally. So we have all these things, whereas nuclear energy is artificially created, okay, by splitting of the by having your fission or fusion reactions, okay, utilizing uranium, splitting of the uranium atom. So the definition is clear, and if you're clear with the definition, then you should know which one does not fall in this category. The biomass energy is generated or produced by living or once living organism. The most common biomass material used for energy are plants. The energy from these organisms can be burned to create heat or converted to electricity. Right? Next question. For the wind speed to be effective, the minimum wind speed should be more than 15 km per hour. The material used for interconnection of solar cells and making of solar cells respectively in solar panel is silver and silicon. Okay. An alloy of copper and zinc is brass. The conversion of ores in oxides by heating strongly in the presence of excess air is roasting. So roasting is a process in which sulfide ores are heated in the presence of air. So it needs air and it's strong heating. Sulfide ores are converted to their respective oxides. So once it is in the oxide form, then it can be reduced, or we get rid of the oxygen attached to it to further enrich that metal or purify that particular metal, whatever we are hoping for. An example of amphoteric oxide is aluminium oxide. Graphite is an allotropic form of carbon. Ammeter is used to measure current. When 15 amps current is flowing through a conductor of 75 volts, potential difference between its two ends, find the resistance of conductor. This follows Ohm's law. We need to apply Ohm's law over here. So the answer is 5 ohms, and this is how we solve it. So Ohm's law says V is equal to IR. V stands for voltage or potential difference, I for current, and R for resistance. Here we are given voltage, which is 75 volts, and we are also given the current as 15 amps. And when we solve for this, we get a resistance of 5 ohms. Next question. The current flowing through the 30 ohms resistor in the following circuit is, so your 30 ohms, you're given resistance. We can also see the voltage, the battery is 24 volts. So we are asked to find the amount of current. So once again we use Ohm's law to solve and find out the current that is flowing through this particular circuit. And the answer is 0.8 amp. This is how we solve it. Voltage is given as 24 volts. We get it from here, not from here. And in this case, the current is not given. We have to find out. Resistance is given as 30 ohms. When we solve, we get 0.8. Sorry, this is no, sorry, this is a mistake. This should not be R. This should be I. Sorry for that. Both these cases. So we are getting I is equal to 0. That is, current is equal to 0.8 amps and not 0.8 ohms. So just ignore this. It should be 0.1. The solving is this. Instead of R, you have I in both these cases, and this unit is wrong. It should be A. Coulomb is the standard international unit or SI unit of charge. A component used to regulate current without changing the voltage is dash. that is variable resistance. Alloys are commonly used in electrical heating device like electric water heater since alloys do not oxidize easily at high temperatures. Rotating device that converts electrical energy into mechanical energy is electric motor. The magnetic field lines inside a current carrying solenoid is dash parallel. Okay, so this is how it looks in a solenoid. So don't get confused with it. Read the question properly. It says magnetic field lines inside a solenoid. So inside a solenoid, the magnetic field lines are parallel. Outside it may be different, but inside they are parallel to each other. Okay, so this is how the magnetic field lines look around a solenoid and inside a solenoid. Okay. The color coding of electric wire given by the international standards is live one is red, earthing is green, and neutral is black. This way. So inside a main wire you will have a live wire which is red in color. Then you will have an earthing wire which is green in color, and you will have a neutral wire which is black in color. An electric fuse is based on heating effect of current. When we allow the current in the coil A, the needle of the galvanometer deflects, showing the current producing in the coil B. What is such current called? It is called induced current. Okay, because current is being induced in that particular coil. Next, hydra reproduce by dash. Answer is budding. This is how it goes. Okay, so you have a parent hydra, and then you have a bud that is forming here, developing bud. The new bud grows, and then it detaches itself from the parent hydra. Special tissue by which embryo gets nutrition from the mother's blood is placenta. A sexually transmitted disease HIV/AIDS is caused by virus. The anther contains pollen grains. You see, this is the figure. You have the anthers, and if you cut them open, okay, a cross section of them will reveal that there are pollen sacs, and inside the pollen sacs you have pollen grains. In the figure, parts A, B, and C are sequentially. One of the choices have to be picked. So that's plumule, which is A. Then you have cotyledon, which is B, and radicle, which is C. Here you go. This is in the textbook as such. You have cotyledons, both of them. Okay. You have the plumule, and you have the radicle. Okay. You should also be knowing what will be the plumule in future, as in what it becomes later on in the future, and what does radical become in the future. Okay, so this is mentioned there in your textbook under this figure itself. Okay, what does plumule become in the future, and what does radical become in the future? Chances are that it may come for the examination as well. You should also know what does an ovary become in the future, and what do the ovules become in the later in the future. 33rd question. In human male, testis lies in the scrotum because it helps in the formation of sperms. In the figure, A, B, and C are sequentially. So that's stigma right on top here. B would be pollen tube, and C would be ovary. There you go. If you can see, right on top you have the pollen grains, then you have the stigma, marked in yellow. Then you have your pollen tube marked here, and then you have an ovary marked outside. So inside you have the female germ cell. Okay, so this is about pollen grain germination. In case if you're wondering where you've got this diagram from, look at your textbook. You will have pollen grain germination figure, and there is where. So such questions can come again in your final examination. So you should know the diagrams and the markings as well. Response of plant roots towards water is called hydrotropism. Okay, you see over here the roots of the plant moving towards water. Okay, and here also this is a small experiment carried out where roots are moving towards water, where water is placed in a porous clay pot. This is underground water, but here in this case, to prove the point, you have roots moving towards water or wherever there is high moisture content. Okay. So this movement of plant roots towards water is referred to as hydrotropism. 36th question. The gap between two neurons is called a synapse. Here you look, you have your two neurons over here, and they are in the process of transmitting a message. So you see neuron cell body over here, and you have the dendrites. The dendrites are in close connection with the axon tips of the other. You see the axon tips. This is of another neuron in connection with the dendrite of this neuron. Similarly, the axon tips of this neuron are in close proximity with the dendrite of the other neuron, the continuation of which is not over here, but you see. So at the point where they kind of lock with each other, not exactly lock, but be in close proximity with each other, that point is referred to as synapse. So that's why it says the gap between two neurons. It doesn't say, it's not like a lock and key, it's a gap, but very close enough for exchange of that message in the chemical form. Okay. 37th question. Mrs. Richa takes injection of insulin regularly to treat diabetes. Okay, so you should know a lot about the various hormones and the glands that secrete them, and what happens, like if say suppose there's some shortage of that particular hormone that is being secreted, particularly diabetes, because diabetes is like the number one killer in India and affects a whole lot of people in India. It's a lifestyle disease, and almost there will be at least one person in every household who suffers from diabetes in India. So be ready for a question on diabetes in your exam paper. 38th question. Gustatory receptors detect taste. 39th question. Brain and spinal cord comprise central nervous system. So you have the central nervous system comprising of the brain and spinal cord. Okay, and you have the peripheral nervous system comprising of the cranial nerves, spinal nerves, and peripheral nerves. Okay, so here you are asked for about the central nervous system. Okay, so that's the brain and the spinal cord, this main thing. Next, question 40. This is the last question of your prelims paper. Posture and balance of the body is controlled by cerebellum. Okay, so that ends our paper. This came for the October 2022 paper. The feedback that I've received that it was a very easy paper. I'm sure you have done well. If you have not done well, no issues. You had enough of time to prepare for your next exam, the main exam coming up. So, and one more thing, that just because the paper came easy for the prelims does not guarantee that it will come easy or difficult in the final examination, because the person who sets the paper for prelims does not go and set the paper for the board examination. Neither does the board, a person who's setting the paper for the board examination have any clue what type of paper will be coming for the preliminary examinations. By that time, the paper is already submitted to the board. So there's no way of telling like whether the paper that will come in the final examination will be easy or difficult. You need to be prepared for the worst, and that's how you will avoid any shocks or surprises, unwanted, unpleasant surprises in the final examination. So I hope you have liked watching this video. If you do have liked watching this video, please do hit the like button. Share this video with as many friends and classmates as possible so they could also benefit like you have. And keep watching for more such videos. I will be bringing out more and more videos to help you with your studies. Thank you once again, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Thanks once again.